Here we go. Recording in three, two, and one.
Uh, yeah, she's the doctor, and she's from Sheffield, and I liked it.
Welcome to episode 236 of Nerdery Murdery.
Big 236. I'm Zig with your nerdery.
And I'm Jeffrey with your Murdery. Welcome to another week of the highs and lows, the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and the nerd and the murd. Um, I'm mad at you. I have to
Why?
throw that out because you have given me a new obsession, and cannot, I cannot fucking stop listening to How Not to Drown. I am obsessed with like I was with the trip.
Oh yeah,
I love that song.
nice,
I mean, dude, that was such a brilliant list. I think I put just about every song into my
nice,
into my little golf list I have.
nice.
Great song. How Not to Drown is beautiful. Um, just great. So yeah, so I'm mad at you about that. Um, so I told you before the show that I'm a little wiped out. I I spent 12 hours. No, I spent 11 hours at the golf club yesterday.
Why?
Not drinking. I can't drink right now. I started golfing at 9 o'clock in the morning with our good friend Chuck and my friend Billy. Finished
Hey
that.
Chuck.
Went home long and hey Chuck, went home long enough to take a shower. Went back to the club to set up poker night
Uh-huh.
because we did a poker night last night, and that
Uh-huh.
went well towards 10 o'clock at night.
Uh-huh.
And I was almost done because we had done color ups and whatnot, and I was just about done putting up the chips when all those drunk bastards, they're like, cash game, and I went, y'all can put up chips by yourself. I'm going home.
I'll see you motherfuckers tomorrow.
I have been here for 13 hours. I'm going home. So I'm a little tired. It was fun. This is the second one we've done, and we do it to benefit the club. We have prizes that are donated,
Yeah.
and whatnot, and it's so much fun. It's a blast. Everybody has a great time with it. We do the whole tournament style. People uh 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 get get out. They lose out. Then we start combining tables or whatnot. Got down to the final eight. It's a lot of fun. We had a great time with that last night. So yeah, so I'm a little beyond tired. Um, I saw yesterday, well, earlier this week, Chelsea walks in the house and she goes, "Are you really watching Logan's Run?" And I said, "Yes, I'm watching Logan's Run
Look,
because
this run's fucking awesome.
I know." And it's been a while since I watched it, so I just watched it again this week, and I had to look it up. As of 2024, it is still greenlit by Warner Brothers for a
Okay.
redo. But the writers strike delayed a lot of stuff. So supposedly we are still going to get a new treatment of Logan's Run.
Nice.
I'm excited about that. The only thing I want on it, please don't remove the Fort Worth Water Garden scene.
Yes.
Let's have it again.
Yes.
To me, it was iconic.
All they did was put a backdrop behind it to hide the hotel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just I
Actually, they'll be dealing with less traffic now because they moved the overpass.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
so the sound will be better.
So anyway, so there's no details other than that. That was as of 2024. Um,
And there's not 4 pounds or 4 inches of bird shit where the trees are anymore because they got rid of all the grackles.
I saw Fantastic Four last week.
Hmm.
Um, I have to say it's a fun movie, number one. But I do have to say, I don't remember who did it, but whoever did Fantastic Four,
Hmm.
they either did a lot of research or were a fan of the comic
Yeah.
because they did it beautifully to the comic book.
Not just the comic, but the 1960s cartoon series too.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
there's a lot
very
of that.
much
I'm
so.
like, oh shit.
Very much so. I was very impressed with Fantastic Four. Great film. I did not think I was going to like Ben Grimm's voice, but I did. It ended
Hmm.
up working very well.
Yeah.
I just it was very well done.
The fact that he has to shave with an angle grinder,
I
I
know
fucking
that's
love that.
great. That was hysterical.
I like the beard. Yeah, the beard's nice. And the thing I liked best about Fantastic Four, um, there is that's a family,
Hmm.
right? There's a
Hmm.
lot of love between. even Johnny and Ben, even though
Hmm.
they fuck with each other, it's not malicious. Whereas no
No.
one else has really played that. That Johnny looks at Ben Grimm like an older brother or a
Yes.
cousin.
Yeah.
Um, and Ben Grimm looks at Johnny like a younger brother or younger cousin.
Yeah.
And yes, they do fuck with each other, but it's because that's their dynamic. It's
Hmm.
not because they actually fucking hate each other. And everybody else fucking played as the, contentious. And it's like, that's not what that is. This is the only portrayal I've seen, basically since the comic or since the cartoon series where it actually showed, no, 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 that's the dynamic is not what you guys have been showing. This
Yeah.
is actually more true to what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So great job. Great job on that one. I was very impressed. I'm in the middle of Strange New Worlds, the latest season. That's been a great season. I love, I loved and hated the holodeck episode.
Uh-huh.
The reason I hated it, we've kind of broke canon and holodeck came in a little too early,
Yeah.
but otherwise it was very cool. And I think my favorite episode so far, and Chelsea hated this episode, the one with the mystical creature that they were having to tow, that came out of the sea and it was
Yes.
able to, that was a beautiful story. It was a beautiful story, because done with a reporter's camera,
Hmm.
through the whole thing. I thought it was a beautiful story. A great new season. I'm not done with it yet. Should finish it this week. But Strange New Worlds has been great. They have said the series is greenlit through season 5, and then they're going to
Hmm.
end it.
Yeah.
So
Well, and we're supposed to be getting the
Academy.
Starfleet Academy, which takes place during the time of Discovery. Well, after they jumped forward in time.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And then something else I was talking about before the show. Um, I have spent so much time over the last month and a half now, promoting and marketing Prime numbers. I have not had time to work on the sequel. I finally got back into it this week because I've got all my promotions scheduled out through December, and I could actually focus on writing again. And I sat down and man, I just started cranking out chapters,
Nice. Yeah,
cranking them out.
you sent me a little bit, okay, some snippets.
Yeah,
I thought they were
I
pretty good.
sent you that snippet of that whisper scene, which to me, as I read over it, is one of the best pieces of writing I've ever done. That one snippet I think is beautiful and emotional, and that's the thing about the sequel is I think it cranks the emotion level up
Hmm.
in the second book. I'm very happy with where I am in this book right now. Um, Zig, for you, I'm in chapter 15, and we're so close to getting back to Darkwind. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. Um, he'll be in very, very soon. I mean, he's actually kind of been in it a little bit, but not to spoil the book. I'm not trying to spoil the book for anybody, but I am actually writing the sequel again, and it's made me so happy. I've gone back to the waking up in the middle of the night and start writing and cranking stuff out. Um, the other day, just before work, I was like, I could crank out a chapter real quick. Here we go. And so just started working. It's made me realize how much I just love to write.
Hmm.
That I'm doing again, and I'm just very, very excited that I'm progressing forward, and hopefully, since I've been able to get back to this, hopefully I can finish the sequel before the end of the year, and then get part 2 out next year at some point. So stay
2026.
tuned. Yep. So stay
Nice.
tuned.
Nice. Well, since we're talking about books, I've completed my second draft on Fire Sign.
Yep. I
Jeffrey
read
read
through
it,
that. Yep.
and I was like, I am missing something, but I am so fucking close to it. I can't tell you what it is. And I'm like, read this. And Jeffrey's like, no, no, this is good. But yeah, what you're missing is this. And I was like, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was not heavy critique at all. Some of the things that I told him, I think its world building is exceptional. It's very, very culturally rich. It's got a very, very good, strong ensemble cast. There's very, very cool political intrigue, cinematic battles. and it's a very mythical atmosphere.
Mhm.
I think overall it was really good. The only things I told him, adjust the pacing some. They were talking about a couple of pieces of lore I wish were expanded a little bit. Kind of give
Mhm.
a little bit of breathing room between battles. Let me take a breath because sometimes
Yeah.
just like bam, 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 and I'm like, I need to breathe. Give me a second. I got to rest.
Well, it is the Elvish War series, so you
I
got
know,
to
but
have some.
I mean, think about Lord of the Rings. Epic battle, and now we're gonna run for 30 miles.
We need to run for 30 miles or or resupply the battlement.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Um,
there's some siege warfare that goes on in here, and it's like, God damn.
so yeah, so I'm it's a good book. And I mean, and for me, yeah, I'm not a big fantasy, right, not hardcore fantasy reader. I just never have been. But this is very intriguing. There's some really, really good stuff here, so I'm excited to see as you continue on with that. So
Thank you, sir.
awesome. Well, I think this is going to be a fun episode. I kind of harken back way to the Wayback Machine with us with our murdery, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But I've kind of got a fun episode when we get into the murdery side. But Zig, if you don't have anything else, I will let you take off the nerdery side of the house.
Well, thank you, sir. We're going to talk about Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor.
Great.
Uh, Jodie Whittaker is the fictional protagonist, or the Doctor is the fictional protagonist of the BBC science fiction television program Doctor Who. It is portrayed by English actress Jodie Whittaker, the first woman to play the character in the series, first appearing in the show's 11th series. Whittaker is expected to leave the series as the Doctor Who following the 13th series, which she did. I wrote these notes a little while ago. Within the series narrative, the Doctor is a millennia old alien Time Lord with somewhat unknown origins who travels in time and space in their TARDIS, which is time and relative dimension in space, frequently with companions. And at the end of life, the Doctor regenerates. And this incarnation's companions include dyspraxic part-time warehouse worker Ryan Sinclair, played by Tosin Cole, retired bus driver, and Ryan's step-grandfather Graham O'Brien, played by Bradley Walsh, and probationary police officer Yasmin Khan, played by Mandip Gill, all of whom she meets shortly after her regeneration. She later crosses paths with former companion Captain Jack Harkness, played by John Barrowman, and is subsequently joined by food bank volunteer Dan Lewis, played by John Bishop. The concept of female doctor was first mentioned in 1981 when Tom Baker suggested his successor might be female after announcing the end of his tenure as the fourth Doctor. Producer John Nathan Turner later discussed the possibility of casting a woman as the sixth Doctor to replace the departing Peter Davidson's fifth Doctor, claiming it was feasible but not something he was considering at the moment. And in October 1986, during the transmission of Colin Baker's final season as the Sixth Doctor, series creator Sidney Newman wrote to BBC controller Michael Grade with a suggestion that at a larger stage, Doctor Who should be metamorphosized into a woman. Don French, Joanna Lumley, and Francis de la Tour were suggested by Newman in 1986 for the role, but were dismissed by the BBC. Lumley later appeared as a satirical version of the 13th Doctor in the 1999 comic relief special The Curse of the Fatal Death. Arabella Weir also played an alternate third Doctor in the Doctor Who Unbound Big Finish expose, Exile. Neither portrayal is typically considered to be within the show's main continuity. Producer Jane Tranter also considered casting Judi Dench as the ninth Doctor. Helen Mirren was suggested for the role of the 12th Doctor. The concept of the Time Lord's changing sex upon regeneration was seeded throughout Moffat's tenure as showrunner. Just after regenerating, the 11th Doctor exclaims, "I'm a girl." In the 2011 episode, The Doctor's Wife, the Doctor recalls a Time Lord acquaintance known as the Corsair, who had at least two female incarnations. In the 2013 short, The Night of the Doctor, The Sisterhood of Karn, offering a dying eighth Doctor, played by Paul McGann, control over his inevitable regeneration, with man or woman being touted as possible. The first on-screen cross-gender regeneration was shown in the 2015 episode Hellbent, in which a white male Gallifreyan general, Ken Bones, regenerates into a black woman, Tanaya Miller, who states that her previous incarnation was the only time she'd ever been a man. The most notable Time Lord to have appeared in both male and female forms prior to Whitaker's casting is the Doctor's nemesis, the Master, played by Michelle Gomez, where she was called Missy, short for Mistress. Um, the world is not world enough and enough time. The Doctor fails, addresses cross generation several times. The Doctor tells his companion Bill Potts that Missy was his first man crush, and he was pretty sure he was a man at the time, but wasn't quite sure, which may have been a flippant and offhanded comment. Um, so the seeds have been planted for a female doctor. They've been talking about it as far back as I said, at 1981. So when she came upon the on the scene, I thought her first episode was really good. The problem with Jodie Whittaker's tenure is the writing wasn't
Yep.
as strong,
Yep.
and they also wanted to center it in and around um, uh, uh, Jodie Whittaker's hometown,
Hmm.
and which I'm okay with. I like Sheffield is a is just a brilliant, interesting part of England.
Well,
Um,
I, 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 I have such a problem with this iteration of Doctor Who. And this has been talked about before in episodes. I like Jodie Whittaker. I like Jodie Whittaker a lot. I thought she was great as the Doctor. But
yeah,
as
and
you said, the writings were just weak. I
yeah,
don't want to say it was bad stories, but they were poorly written.
yeah, and
And
not all of them. There were some of them that were really good. Uh, Rosa
I
was
knew you were going
good.
to go to that one, and that one bored me to tears.
Uh, the Demons of the Punjab. I loved that one.
Is that the one where they were in that contest on that planet?
No, the Demons of Punjab. It's the one that takes place during the Indian split.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I didn't like that one either. No,
Uh, Guardians of the Edge and the Power of the Doctor. Her last couple of episodes were, oh my God, they were nail biters, and they brought back some really old 1980s doctors and companions for that one.
and
They brought back,
unfortunately, I never got there because I dumped out of this. I couldn't take the writing. I couldn't take the overall pacing. Overall, it was just boring me, and it made me sad because I like Jodie Whittaker.
yeah, Jodie Whittaker was great. She was almost, she played it a lot. She drew a lot from Matt Smith.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. And so you get a lot of that
The childlike behavior.
yes,
Yes,
yes. Yeah, almost manically
yes.
happy.
Yes, which
Um,
was a direct contrast to Peter Capaldi. I mean, granted, eventually Peter Capaldi really came into his own,
yeah.
and he brought out his own flavor of Doctor Who, and there was some playful, but Peter Capaldi was for the most part another serious Doctor
Yeah. He
coming
played
on
it
the
as an
tail end,
alien,
right, coming
which
as
is
the
what we
tail end of
need every
Matt
once in a
Smith, who was
while.
a child,
Uh-huh.
and then we come into Jodie Whittaker, who was also very childish. So it was a great set of bookends as
Hmm.
far as the doctors, but the writing and the stories in Peter Capaldi's, Matt Smith's, and or David Tennant so much stronger
Yeah.
and compelling. It made me sad, and to the point. I haven't even gone on to the latest Doctor because I've been so dumped out for a while. I got to get down some at some point because I've heard he's good.
Oh, and Ncuti Gatwa? Yeah,
Yeah,
he was great. David Tennant was great in his portrayal of the 14th Doctor.
I watched that one with when where they brought back who's what's it her the
Donna
bride
Noble.
Donna Noble. I've seen that episode
Yeah, I like the Donna Noble stuff. And you
and
know
I don't
what's
like
great
Donna
is
Noble.
he's still around. That doctor is still around. He's
Hmm.
still living his life. Um, hmm. I I don't want to put it all on Chris Chibnall because honestly, Chris Chibnall kind of he wasn't necessarily the showrunner for Life on Mars, which
Hmm.
was incredible.
The
Life on
the
Mars.
the Waters of Mars.
No, no. Life on Mars was a science fiction
Oh, okay,
fantasy
okay.
series.
Sorry.
And it had a like a sequel series called Ashes to Ashes, which was also incredibly good. Chris Chibnall did a lot of writing for both of those. Um, oh my God, I loved all of that stuff, but um, I don't think it was necessarily all on Chris Chibnall. I think it was a lot for him to take on, and I
Hmm.
think some of the writers he had in the stable were like with Peter Davidson, they were TV writers because you get a lot of tropes
Hmm.
with like they'd have a really great idea and they fill it with a bunch of TV tropes. And it's like
Hmm. Hmm.
that's not what that's not what this is for.
Right.
Don't fill this with TV tropes. You don't need to. Just go with the outlandish and it'll be fine. Everybody will be happy. It'll become part of the lore. Um, and again, I think in the episodes where they did get away from the TV tropes, the one with Rosa Parks was I thought was amazing. The one with Demons in the Punjab was amazing. The one where they basically pull off a caper, I thought was weak as shit. It's like, really? It's Doctor Who, not James Bond. I get you start doing that, and then but you're supposed to take a left turn, and it's supposed
Um,
to
I don't
weird
know.
out. They didn't take the fucking left turn. It's like, what the fuck was this?
There are a couple of Matt Smiths I can think about that were kind of paperish. The one that comes specifically to mind is the one where he was trapped inside that cube for thousands of years.
Yes,
That was very caperish.
a little caperish. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little playing with time. A little um Bill and Ted playing the time game.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Next
this
time
one,
we're here, remember we need this.
yeah. The caper episode, and I can't even remember the name of the episode. It was basically just a caper. There was nothing fantastical about it, which again, every once in a while Doctor Who can do that. Like they did that a lot with Peter Davidson. Nothing fantastical. There was just something going on that he just kind of got plugged into. Okay, I get it. You want to do that every once in a while. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. But they did that a lot with Jodie Whittaker, and it's like, stop, stop, don't, just don't. You have you have a resource with her that you're not gonna get again. You
Hmm.
know, everybody brings something to it, and she brought a love of playing that role that was just, in my opinion, amazing. And I feel like they wasted it
Oh, absolutely. Because, like I
on
said,
at least half of the
there was
episodes.
nothing wrong with her at
Hmm.
all. At all. It was the writing.
Yeah.
100% it was the writing.
Um, and unfortunately, you know, a lot of people just gave her a hard time. It's like she has nothing to do with the writing. She's doing the best she can with what she has. And I think toward the end, it got it got way more space oriented.
Hmm.
Um, so like, toward the end of her regeneration, and they played with the canon and stuff a little bit, which honestly I'm fine with because Doctor Who is supposed to play with the canon because he goes back and forth throughout time, and that's what his species does, or her species. So I am okay with them playing with the canon a little bit. Um, it's fine. Because you can always go back and change it because you can travel through fucking time. That's the point. Um, but like, and the companions were incredible. A lot of people say that she had too many though, and she
I,
relied
I
a little too hard.
I felt so.
Yeah, hard on them. I did like it when she had when it was just her and Mandip Gill, and
Hmm.
then she ended up getting oh goodness, can't remember that actor's name. He's very northern. Dan Lewis. He played John Bishop. Uh, so when it was Mandip in Dan, it was pretty good. Um, or Yasmin in Dan. Um, and then they would occasionally run across old 80s Doctor Who. And so all of the old companions end up working for Unit. This is when you find that out. It's like they all work for unit. They're all drawing a unit paycheck because unit wants them. It's like, yep, yeah, they may not necessarily be out in the field investigating, but unit is I, I keep tabs because they traveled throughout space and time. It affects you, um, and it affects you in ways that sometimes you don't understand. Not just your understanding and comprehension, but your actual the matter that makes you up is actually different. It's almost like you get a luck virus, like they talk about in Red Dwarf. You basically get a luck virus. It's because you've been in and out of space time, and it affects your actual molecular structure, um, which is a good thing. So unit kind of and you get a bunch of those people. It's like, oh my god, oh hey, look, it's Ace, or it's, oh yeah, that's right, of course they're working for unit because they're ex companions. um Tegan Javanka shows up, which the Peter Davidson companion, as well as Melanie. I uh i kind of loved a lot of the stuff that they brought throughout it, but yeah, you're 100% right that half the episodes were just, they just weren't up to the stuff of Doctor Who.
Right.
Any other television show would have been fine, but Doctor Who requires some fantasticalism. It requires some childlike imagining, and you have to do that for the show because ultimately it's a family show. It's for
Hmm.
everybody. It was originally just written for children, but there are people who've been watching the show since the '60s. I've been watching them since the early '80s, and anyway.
Speaking of the early 80s, by the way, a thought hit me. This is completely not related at all, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Mhm.
A thought hit me last night. Do you realize we are 2 years away, actually less than 2 years away now, from the 50th anniversary of Star Wars?
Fuck you.
50th.
Fuck you. I'm sorry. Yeah, I saw that motherfucker in the theater.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It just the thought hit me yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, Star Wars: A New Hope is about to be 50
50
years
years
old.
old.
Oh
50 years
my
old.
God. Yeah, anyway, bygone.
I also did want to report in some Doctor Who news. So our last episode we got was May 31st of 2025. We are not getting any more Doctor Who this year. The deal
Christmas
with
episode?
Disney. No, we are not getting a Christmas episode this year.
Really?
Yes, we are getting a
Wow.
Christmas episode next year, and that's going to spawn off the next series is going to happen right after that.
Wow.
But they ended their deal with Disney.
Hmm.
I think that's probably a good idea, because the BBC need to take control of it. The last time they made a deal with an American company was when they made the deal with Fox. Well, no, the last time they made a deal with HBO Max and it was fine, but all HBO Max was doing was showing it. They weren't involved in the production. Um, but before that, they did a deal with Fox, and there was no backup plan. So we got that 1996 movie, and then we didn't get shit for like 10 years, 9 years. Um, so I'm kind of glad they got away from Disney because I was afraid of something like that happening again.
Hmm.
Um, because we don't need to be without Doctor Who. It is part of the English culture as a whole. It's part of their DNA. It's like us in Star Wars. It's not gonna go away. Or at least it shouldn't. Um, but we are getting an episode in 2026. The last episode that aired May 31st of 2025 in Shuti Gatwa regenerated after two series into Billy Piper. So as far as we know, The next Doctor, which we're going to get Christmas of 2026, which is over a year away, is going to be the 16th Doctor, who is Billy Piper. Now, I don't know if they're going to write something weird around that or what, but yeah, Billy Piper is the new Doctor.
It's very weird. Very weird.
Yes. So they're not going to stop using women in the role, which is what I was feared when they did with Jodie Whittaker, because I think it's a great idea. It gives an alienness to that species, which we kind of need every once in a while. It's like you got to get somebody in who plays it like an alien because they're fucking alien. They're not human beings. They have two hearts. Their DNA is completely different from ours. They just look like us. Or hell, maybe they don't. Maybe just we perceive them to look like us. We don't
Yeah,
really know. Um, but yeah, he and I will say this: Jodie Whittaker did show up at his last episode. He's in the TARDIS and he's working, and then she just comes out of around a corner and she helps him out. Uh, and I did include that scene in our YouTube playlist because I grabbed a bunch of other Jodie Whittaker playlist scenes. And originally, I wrote these notes. We were doing a menage a pod on Doctor Who like 3 years ago.
hmm
So I've been sitting on these notes for a long time. I'm finally glad I was able to put a number on them because they've basically been sitting in the folder as Jodie Whittaker notes for like 3 years. But yeah, the Reality War was a good one. I really enjoyed I really enjoyed her last season, which was because of COVID and writer strikes, things like that. It was basically a truncated season, and it was 6 episodes, and they were like the trial of a Time Lord, and they hadn't done that in a long time. So I'm really glad they did that, because it was really really good. But yeah, she only got 3 seasons, and one was truncated. And Shutigatwa, or David Tennant as the 14th Doctor, only really got 1 season, and in Shutigatwa got 2 seasons. So I'm hoping they get somebody to go a little longer on this next run because I would like to see like a 4 season run, like Matt Smith got originally. Because yes, he only did 3 seasons, but he also got a bunch of specials that if you combine them, they're a fourth season. So he basically is the only one who done like multiple seasons.
Right.
So yeah, I would like to see someone go 5, maybe, pull a John Pertwee and do 5. I don't think we need anybody to go 7 like Tom Baker did, because that's too long. But I would like to see someone do 4 or 5. And it would be nice if we could get more Doctor Who. And I understand they don't want to do it like they were doing it in the 60s and the 70s, where it was on, 10 months out of the year, because that's a fucking grind. That wears people out because they're basically working, 6 days a week, 15-hour days, 10 months out of the year.
hmm
Um, and it's, there's a lot of action, a lot of running. People got hurt, maybe not serious injuries, but there were minor injuries to a lot of people. Shit, Tom Baker broke his collarbone at one point. Um, there were, wrist breaks and legs, and people got gravely ill but still soldiered on and worked. It's like, good God, man, let's not do that anymore. But at the same time, I'd also like a little more consistency in airing of the episodes because I
Yeah.
need more. I do. I like that they brought back Russell T Davis. Again, I don't think it was Chris Chibnall's fault. I think they put him. He jumped up on a runaway train and he did his best to get it going in the right direction. But he, this is this is not for the faint of heart, and I don't think it was necessarily on him because the stuff that he actually wrote was really good. But I think you need to get somebody running the show who knows what a good science fiction story looks like. Um, and Russell T Davis can do that. Mark Gatiss and oh my God, what's the other guy's name? I can never remember his name. The Scottish guy that ran the show for years and years and years.
Oh,
He worked a
shoot,
lot with Mark Gatiss. Mark
I can't
Gatiss,
remember.
yeah, yeah. Those two guys really knew what they were doing, and of course Russell T Davis is back. Um, I just I feel bad for Jodie Whittaker because I think she got a lot of shit. She got a lot of shit for this. I think Chris Chibnall got a lot of shit for this. It's not necessarily their fault. They're the same problem that Peter Davidson had. They just had some bad writers.
Stephen Moffat.
Stephen Moffat, yeah, Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss know how to drive this runaway train. Although they're the ones that started making it where it wasn't um, scheduled out,
Hmm.
which is okay. I mean, they're basically making little movies all the time, so I get it. But goddamn, I need more. You know. But at the same time, I also need to realize that I am trying to make up for the lost years of Doctor Who I didn't have. That's a desire in my heart. It's like, okay, yes, you're giving me new, but it's taking you forever to make them, and you still have to make up for the 15 years that I didn't have it. That's not their fault. It really isn't. That was Michael Grade's fault, and fuck him. I'm glad he's not with us anymore. That's how
Wow.
much I hate that motherfucker.
Wow.
But that's about it for Jodie Whittaker, other than get out and see it. As Jeffrey said, some of them are a little lame. I would recommend that last season she did. It's only like 4 episodes, 4 to 6 episodes, but they're longer, so it's 6 episodes worth of material.
Hmm.
But it's really good, and it kind of plays with the timeline of the Doctor, and you get a lot of really interesting background that we'd never gotten before, like the formation of the Time Lords from the Sheboygan,
Hmm.
which had been hinted about, but you never really gotten before, and you get that, and it's fucking brilliant. Um, I love it. Yeah. So
Cool.
I've gushed about Jodie Whittaker and her
Yeah.
incredible
I,
Doctor
I
work.
I mean, I recommend seeing it at least to see how good Jodie Whittaker is because she is very, very good. But
Yeah.
we both agree the storylines were kind of weak. The writing was kind of weak in many of them. So,
Yeah.
going
Not
at your own
everyone. Not
risk.
everyone. Yeah. Yeah. Not everyone. But if I were going to recommend some, I would say that last season of hers. Watch that because it's exciting and it's amazing and fun.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll enjoy that. I think it'll probably be a while before we do another Doctor Who. Kind of give the most current one a little time in the tank a little bit.
Hmm.
But I appreciate that. This has been a good ride through all the Doctors. I've really appreciated them, and especially when I got to listen to the stuff you've done on other shows with Doctor Who. So great job, great job.
Thanks, sir.
With that, we'll step over to the murdery side of the house.
Murder.
All right. So for today, I got my information off of. Get ready.
Hmm.
The Las Vegas Review Journal, Port
Okay.
TV, People Magazine, New York Post, The Sun, People Magazine again, The Sun again, CBS News, People Magazine again, Palm Beach Post, Wikipedia, The Guardian, University of North Carolina Law Review, Wikipedia again, PMC, the National Library of Medicine, Wikipedia again, GQ, Wikipedia again, the Murder She Told podcast, another Wikipedia, Watch Mojo / Weird NJ list, Long reads, Vanity Fair, Wikipedia again, The Guardian, and Wikipedia again.
Jesus fucking Christ! Did you scour the internet for this?
So, Michael Shanks, our good friend over at Two Geeks Put a Microphone, that's the number two.
Dude.
He sent me a message recently about a very unusual murder that occurred in 2023.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, that is kind of weird, but I dive into weird stuff all the time and I eat weirder for breakfast, sort of. Anyway, that one story sent me down a rabbit hole that spawned today's episode. And the case Mike sent me gets the first spot on this list. This is my top 10 weird or strange murders.
Okay.
So you got 10 that we're going through today. Don't get your playlist ready, like we're about to talk about the top 10 or Casey Kasem with Zig's list. These are not hits, these are not bangers. They are just bizarre, unusual, unsettling, and some darkly absurd murders that really happen. So I would like to thank Mike and Two Geeks and a Microphone for this inspiration. So for now, let's get
Thank you,
weird.
Mike.
Let's get weird. The first one I'm going to cover is the porn star, the stepson, and the love triangle beheading. I
Huh.
told you.
Huh. I'm even going to repeat that. Please
The porn,
continue.
the porn star, the stepson, and the love triangle beheading. Uh, this one really kind of comes across like a very dark soap opera. This was in August of 2023 in Henderson, Nevada, which is just outside of Las Vegas. And the Henderson police were called to do a welfare check on the home of 26-year-old real estate agent Jonathan Willett. His mother had not heard from him and was worried. And when she went into her own home where Jonathan had been staying, she made the very horrifying discovery of her son's body wrapped in bedding and doused in chemicals, and his head was missing. Investigators quickly learned that Jonathan's ex, Devin Michaels, was not just his former partner and the mother of his two children. She was also at that point married to his adult son, DeVere, and Devin had a past in adult films and an extremely complicated personal life that now sat right in the center of a homicide investigation. Prosecutors would later describe this as a twisted love triangle. Jonathan had recently been awarded full custody of the couple's children, and there were signs that he and Devin may have been trying to reconcile. At the same time, she was legally married to his son, which was a marriage she claimed had started as a marriage of convenience, but it clearly evolved into something more emotionally tangled. During a police interview, Devin admitted that Jonathan came over and lay face down on the bed to get a massage. She said she struck him with a heavy object in anger, killing him, although she denied actually decapitating him. She allegedly told investigators she later disposed of his head in a trash can somewhere between Henderson and Las Vegas, and neither the weapon nor the head has ever been found.
Oh my God, there's a missing head.
Yes. The defense tried to flip the script. They suggested that Deviere, the son husband, was in the middle of this and had more motive than anyone, his father moving in, reclaiming his ex, and potentially upending the odd family arrangement. The defense tried to paint his earlier confession as the product of emotional collapse, claiming that she was trying to protect the people she loved. But in November of 2025, after relatively short deliberation, a Nevada jury found Devin Michaels guilty of first-degree murder with the use of a deadly weapon. The state is not seeking the death penalty, but she's facing life in prison when she's sentenced in January of 2026. So what you've got is a former porn star, an ex who becomes a victim, a stepson who becomes a husband, a custody battle, a missing head, and a love triangle that ends in a trash can decapitation mystery. One of the most bizarre modern domestic murder cases to hit the news, and it's still unfolding as we speak.
Okay.
Here's our first one.
Number one,
Next is the Icebox murders.
the Icebox murders.
So now we're going to go back to Houston in 1965, a little house on Driscoll Street, and it is one of the strangest double homicides in Texas history. Fred and Edwina Rogers were an elderly couple who mostly kept to themselves. Their neighbors hardly ever saw them, and their reclusive adult son, Charles Rogers, was rarely glimpsed at all. He supposedly lived in the attic and communicated with his parents by sliding notes under the door. On Father's Day, neighbors got concerned. They hadn't seen the couple in a while. Police were asked to perform a welfare check, and they entered the house, headed for the kitchen. And inside the refrigerator, behind stacks of food, they found dismembered human body parts neatly stored. Only later did they realize they belonged to Fred and Edwina. Their head and internal organs had been removed and were found elsewhere in the home. So the brutality of this was shocking, but the mystery around is what has kept this case alive. The prime and really only suspect was their son, Charles. His room was neat, his bed was made, and his car was missing, and he was never seen again. Over time, this case has become known as the Icebox Murders. There were no signs of forced entry, and whoever killed the
Because they
couple,
were in the icebox.
right? Whoever killed the couple clearly knew the layout of the home. The working theory was that has been that Charles snapped after years of conflict with his parents. Some later investigative work even tried to tie him to the JFK assassination as one of several fringe conspiracy suspects, though that remains speculation rather than proven fact. What we do know, Fred had been bludgeoned. Edwina showed signs of gunshot wounds. Their bodies were carefully dismembered and cleaned, suggesting someone with anatomical or butchering skills. Charles vanished so completely that many believe he died shortly after, perhaps in a remote part of Central or South America. The case was officially suspended in 1975 and is considered an unsolved, although Houston police have informally maintained that Charles is their man. So if you have a quiet Houston bungalow, elderly parents in the fridge, a son who might have been a genius, a recluse, a conspiracy figure, or all three, and a mystery that has outlived everyone involved. Next, we have the killer clown at the front door.
Killer clown at the front door.
On May 26, 1990, in Wellington, Florida, a 40-year-old Marlene Warren answered her front door, and standing there was a clown, bright orange wig, a white face, red nose, and a big smile. The clown was holding a bouquet of flowers and a couple of balloons. One reportedly read, "You're the greatest." As Marlene admired the balloons, the clown pulled out a gun and shot her in the face in front of witnesses, including her son and his friend. The clown
Oh,
then,
Jesus Christ.
right, the clown then turned, walked calmly back to a white Chrysler, and drove away. Marlene died in the hospital 2 days later.
Somebody's going to need some therapy.
Shit, I need therapy over clowns. This one terrifies me enough. The case immediately became known as the Killer Clown Murder, and for years, police had suspects but no charges. At the center of the storm was Marlene's husband, Michael Warren, who was an owner of a used car business, and a woman who worked for him, Sheila Keene. Rumors swirled that Michael and Sheila were having an affair. Witnesses described a woman matching Sheila's description buying a clown costume, balloons, and flowers shortly before the murder. A white Chrysler similar to the one from Michael's lot was found abandoned, but the forensic tools of 1990 were just not enough to clinch the case.
Wait, a car salesman was having an affair with someone who worked on the car lot?
Uh-huh.
No!
Yeah, right. I know. I know. But here's when life takes a weird turn. Michael and Sheila eventually got married and moved to Tennessee, running a fast food restaurant together and, from all outward appearances, living a quiet life. In the 2010s, Palm Beach County investigators reopened the file. This time they had DNA testing and better forensics evidence. And in 2017, they arrested Sheila, now Sheila Keene Warren, and charged her with Marlene's murder. Faced with the possibility of first-degree murder conviction, Sheila took a plea deal in 2023, pleading guilty to second-degree murder. She received a 12-year sentence with credit for time served, meaning she could be released in just a few years. And so what we have here is a clown rings the doorbell with flower and balloons. A mother is killed in front of her child. The suspected killer then marries the widower and disappears into suburbia for decades before DNA and persistence finally brings her back into a courtroom. One of those cases where the visuals alone are nightmare fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Our next case, the Rottenburg Cannibal.
The Rottenburg Cannibal.
Now we're going to head to Germany. This is one of the most bizarre murder cannibalism hybrids in modern history. In March of 2001, computer technician Armin Muse posted an advertisement online seeking a well-built 18 to 30-year-old to be slaughtered and then consumed. He connected with 43-year-old Bernd Brands, who volunteered. They met at Muse House in Feld, and accounts say they videotaped parts of the act. The victim's penis was severed, the killer attempted to taste it, and the body was butchered and partially eaten. On December 10th, 2002, police arrested Muse. The house contained body parts in freezers, burial sites on the property, and a videotape recording the dismemberment. In January of 2004, he was convicted of manslaughter and dismemberment, manslaughter and sentenced to 8.5 years. And as a result, it's done many. In a retrial in May 2006, he was then convicted of murder and given life imprisonment. This is one of those where the facts are really hard to summarize. A willing victim, an internet ad, cannibalism, videotaped meat grinders, and a murder amongst consenting adults. The transformation of fantasy into real death. This one's not just weird, this one's deeply unsettling across every dimension.
Yeah, if you volunteer, is it still murder? Wouldn't it
Exactly.
wouldn't it be assisted suicide?
One would think. I don't know. Germany lost.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know. Germany lost. Next case, rebirthing to death.
Rebirthing to death.
Some murders don't look like murders at first glance. They look like therapy gone wrong. And the death of 10-year-old Candace Newmaker is one of the most disturbing examples. Candace was born Candace Tiara Elmore in North Carolina and spent much of her early life in foster care before being adopted by pediatric nurse Jean Newmaker. Candace reportedly struggled with behavioral health issues and was eventually diagnosed with reactive attachment disorder. Jean sought out a controversial treatment known as attachment therapy. In April of 2000, Jean took Candace to Evergreen, Colorado for a 2-week intensive session with unlicensed therapists Connell Watkins and Julie Ponder. The most infamous session was something they called rebirthing. Candace was wrapped tightly in a flannel sheet meant to represent a womb, covered with pillows, and told to fight her way out as the therapist and assistant pressed down on her. The goal was supposedly to simulate being born into a new secure bond with her adoptive mother. Over the course of about 70 minutes, as later revealed in a videotape, Candace repeatedly said she couldn't breathe, that she was going to die, and begged to be let out. The adult continued the exercise, insisting she try harder and that her pleas were manipulation rather than real distress. And by the time they had unwrapped the sheet, Candace had suffocated. This case exploded onto the news. Prosecutors charged Watkins and Ponder with reckless child abuse, resulting in death. Two assistants and Jean herself faced lesser charges. In 2001, Watkins and Ponder were convicted and sentenced to 16 years in prison, which was later reduced on appeal, while Jean lost her nursing license. Candace's death led Colorado to pass Candace's law, effectively banning rebirthing therapy in the state. Other jurisdictions thought that cracking down on similar attachment therapy practices, yet debates continue in some corners of the therapy world about how far tough love or confrontational techniques go. So, was this premeditated? Legally, it was treated as extreme reckless abuse, but Candace's final hour is very hard to hear about, with feeling that whether they intended it or not, the adults in that room effectively tortured a child to death. Next, we have the Granny Ripper of St. Petersburg.
Granny Ripper of St. Petersburg.
So generally, when people hear the phrase serial killer, they don't usually picture a polite gray-haired pensioner. That's what makes Tamara Samsonova so unsettling. Samsonova, who was born in 1947, lived in St. Petersburg and worked in various service jobs before retiring. She was married. Then her husband disappeared under mysterious circumstances in the early 2000s. Officially, he is still a missing person. Unofficially, some investigators think he may have been her first victim. In 2015, police were alerted to a suspicious package near a pond. There was a dismembered human body wrapped in a shower curtain. The remains were eventually identified as 79-year-old Valentina Ulanova, Samsonova's friend and landlord. Samsonova had been staying with Valentina while her own apartment was being renovated. Security camera footage captured Samsonova hauling large black bags out of the building and dumping them near the pond. When police searched Valentina's apartment, they found blood tracers, traces, a missing shower curtain, and plenty of signs that killing and dismemberment had happened in the bathroom. Back at Samsonova's own flat, investigators made an even stranger discovery, which was a diary. And in it, she allegedly described killing and dismembering multiple people over the years, tenants, a man called Volodia, and possibly her husband. One entry translated into the Russian press matter of factly detailed how she cut up a tenant's body in the bathroom and scattered the parts around the city. Russian tabloids quickly dubbed her the Granny Ripper and even suggested cannibalism in some of the killings, though that's never been definitively proven. Police officially tied her to at least two murders, but said she may have been responsible for many more, possibly over a dozen. Psychiatric evaluation concluded that Samsonova suffered from serious mental illness and was dangerous to others. So instead of a standard prison sentence, she was ordered to a secure psychiatric facility where she remains. So there's something very uniquely eerie about a killer who looks like somebody's grandma, and especially writing about dismemberment in a notebook. No dark alley, no mass stranger, just a quiet elderly woman with garbage bags,
A,
a saw, and a diary.
a mutilating babushka.
Yeah.
Nice.
Next, we have room 1046 or 1046.
Room 1046.
This is a classic locked room mystery. On January 2nd, 1935, a young man checked into the hotel president in Kansas City under the name Roland T. Owen. He carried almost nothing with him, no luggage, just a comb and a toothbrush, and requested an interior room high up in the building. Bellhops and staff later remembered him as quiet, brooding, with a noticeable scar and what looked like a boxer's cauliflower ear. Over the next 2 days, staff noticed odd things. The blinds stayed closed, the lights were low, the man sat in the dark, apparently waiting for phone calls. At one point, a maid came in to clean and heard him say into the phone, "No, Don, I don't want to eat. I'm not hungry." The name Don would become one of the most enduring mysteries of this case. On January 4th, the hotel switchboard noticed that the phone in room 1046 was off the hook for a long time. Bellhop went up to check. The door was locked with a do not disturb sign hanging. A voice inside told them to come in, but the door was still locked from the inside. Eventually, they got in with the master key, and what they found inside was very strange and horrific. There was a man, later identified as Artemis Ogletree, who was in the room, badly beaten, bound with cord around his neck, wrist, and ankles, and suffered from multiple stab wounds to the chest. Blood was on the sheets, walls, and in the bathroom, but there were no weapons, no clothes, and many of the standard hotel items like towels and soap were missing. Ogletree initially told a doctor that he had fallen and hit his head on the tub and that nobody had done this to him. He soon slipped into a coma and died, and for months he was a John Doe until a relative recognized his photo in the paper, and he turned out to be a 17-year-old from Alabama who'd been hitchhiking across the country. The mystery only deepened from there. Anonymous phone calls and letters came to the family claiming Ogletree was still alive, traveling, or married long after his death. A woman paid for his funeral under mysterious circumstances. Decades later, new records and long hidden police files were examined, but no definitive suspect has ever been named. Room 1046 has become a staple of unsolved mystery podcasts and articles. A locked room, a pseudonym, a shadowy figure named Don, missing clothes and a towel, and a victim who seemed determined, even on his deathbed, not to say who attacked him. Our next story, Devil's Teeth.
Devil's Teeth.
So if you're like me and you like true crime with a little side of alleged occult panic, this one fits right in that lane. On August 7th, 1972, 16-year-old Jeanette De Palma left her home in Springfield Township, New Jersey, telling her family she was catching a train to visit a friend, but she never arrived. Her parents reported her missing the next day, and for weeks there were no solid leads. 6 weeks later, on September 19th, a dog dragged a human forearm home. Tracing it back, authorities found Jeanette's body on a rocky outcropping in an abandoned local quarry called the Devil's Teeth. The remains were badly decomposed, but what made the scene infamous was the arrangement around the body. Witnesses described branches laid out in a coffin-like shape with small wooden crosses nearby. Some accounts suggested symbols or signs that look ritualistic, though details vary depending on which witness you believe. The cause of death was never definitively established, but authorities believe Jeanette had likely been strangled. And because of the location and the odd arrangement of debris, media quickly spun it into a story about witchcraft and satanic ritual. This was long before the 1980 satanic panic, but many of the same themes were there. Rumors of covens in the woods, animal sacrifices, and teenagers dabbling in occult practices. Over the decades, this case faded and flared back up thanks to Weird New Jersey or Weird NJ magazine and later the book on the Devil's Teeth, which pulled together witness accounts, police documents, and local lore. The authors floated several possibilities: a killer with occult interests, a local predator, or even connections to known serial killers active in the region, though no link has ever been proven. Police have never publicly named a prime suspect, and the case remains officially unsolved. And what makes this particularly strange is how much of it exists in a fog of rumor. Some witnesses insist the ritual elements were exaggerated, others say they were downplayed, and you're left with a dead teenager in a quarry called Devil's Teeth, and a strange arrangement of branches and crosses in a town that's never quite agreed on what really happened there.
Yeah, a lot of grave goods do resemble ritual, and it could just be, oh hey, I don't want her to go without this.
It, Possible.
Yeah.
It's certainly possible. Our next one, the body in room 348. So we're going back to hotel rooms because apparently nothing good happens in them. In September 2010,
2010.
Greg Flanagan, a 55-year-old oil and gas landman from Louisiana, checked into room 348 at the MCM Elegante Hotel in Beaumont, Texas. He was on a routine work trip, and that night he did what a lot of business travelers do. He watched a movie, Iron Man 2, if you're interested, smoked a few cigarettes, ate some candy, and went to bed. He never checked out. When hotel and coworkers and hotel staff finally entered the room, they found Greg dead on the floor. And at first, it looked like natural causes. There were no signs of struggle, no visible room, and nothing disturbed. He was lying face down in his underwear, a cigarette pack, and snacks nearby. But the autopsy told a different story. Greg had internal injuries, broken legs, ribs, lacerated organs that looked like he'd been beaten or crushed, but there were no external bruises that matched that kind of assault. So for months, Beaumont police were baffled. Greg's widow eventually hired private investigator Ken Brennan, a former federal agent. We've actually talked about Ken Brennan in a story before.
Hmm.
Brennan reviewed the scene and the autopsy and became convinced they were dealing with a gunshot rather than a beating. That seemed ridiculous because no one had reported hearing a shot and there were no obvious bullet holes. But when Brennan went back to room 348 and the neighboring room 349, he noticed patches on the walls that looked like repair work. So he scraped away the filler and he found two aligned holes, one in each room, consistent with a bullet passing through.
But there was no gunshot.
Oh, weird. The
Yeah.
working theory is that a group of out-of-town workers staying in room 349 had been drinking and playing with a handgun. The gun discharged. The bullet went through the wall, hit Greg likely when he was on the bed, and caused catastrophic internal damage. The men panicked, patched the wall with whatever they had on hand, and said nothing. Greg managed to get off the bed, stagger towards the door, and collapse. Eventually, one of the men, Lance Mueller, admitted that the gun had gone off accidentally during horseplay. He was convicted and received a prison sentence while civil litigation against the hotel and others followed. And in this one, so you have what looks like a natural death, no wounds, no motive, no suspect, all solved because a PI had the idea to look for a bullet through a wall in a hotel where no one remembered hearing a shot. The bizarre mix of bad luck, negligence, and one stray round that turned a movie night into a homicide.
Uh,
Our last case, the poison umbrella on the Waterloo Bridge. And
Poison
this is
umbrella on the Waterloo Bridge.
this is kind of a cool one because this is really kind of intersect between murder and espionage. So Georgy Markov was a Bulgarian writer and dissident who defected from the communist regime, settled in the West working for the BBC World Service and Radio Free Europe. From London, he broadcast sharply critical commentaries about the Bulgarian government and its leader, Todor Zhivkov. You get it from there.
Yeah.
Which made him a powerful enemy back home. Well, he had powerful enemies back home. On September 7th, 1978, Markov was walking across Waterloo Bridge in London, heading to catch a bus to work. While waiting at the bus stop, he felt a sharp sting in the back of his thigh, like an insect bite. He turned and saw a man behind him picking up an umbrella from the ground. The stranger apologized in what sounded like a foreign accent and walked away. Markov didn't think much about it at the time. By that evening, he was feverish and in severe pain. He was admitted to the hospital and died 4 days later. Because Markov himself suspected he'd been poisoned and told colleagues about the umbrella incident, doctors and investigators took the case very seriously. A meticulous autopsy discovered a tiny metal pellet about 1.7 millimeters in diameter embedded into the tissue of his leg. The pellet had two microscopic holes drilled into it, forming an X-shaped cavity. Scientists at Porton Down, the United Kingdom's chemical weapons lab, concluded the pellet likely contained ricin, which, if you don't know, is a highly potent toxin derived from castor beans. The theory was that a sugar-based plug kept the ricin sealed until it melted at body temperature, releasing the poison in Markov's system. British and later Bulgarian and Russian sources have long suggested that the assassination was orchestrated by the Bulgarian secret police with technical assistance from the KGB. After the fall of communism, reports emerged of specifically modified umbrellas found in Bulgarian security archives. Bulgarian umbrellas designed to fire such pellets.
Wow.
No one has ever been formally charged with Markov's murder. One suspected operative, an Italian named Francesco Gulino, was identified in press investigations but died in 2021 without ever facing trial. Markov's killing remains one of the most iconic Cold War assassinations. A dissident silenced by a tiny pellet, likely fired from a modified umbrella at a bus stop in the middle of London. It's such a strange and cinematic method that it's become almost a trope in spy fiction, but in this case, it was very real and killed a real man whose only crime was criticizing his government on radio.
Wow.
So that wraps up my top 10 weird or strange murders. They
Your
are
odds and
wild.
ends.
I know. They're
Not to make a
wild.
pun, but odds and ends.
They're wild. They're shocking on the surface. They almost feel like urban legends or twisted movie plots.
But they
Uh, but un
happened.
but underneath the weird details and dark humor we use to cope, these are still real people, real victims, real families who never got the top 10 treatment. They just got a phone call that changed everything.
So sorry.
If any of these cases did grab you, please do go read more. Learn the names, not just the headlines. Some of them are still unsolved, and some of the families are still waiting. I want to thank again Mike Shanks over on Two Geeks and Microphone for sending me the case that started this whole wild ride. It was really amazing. I absolutely loved it. And, going forward, stay safe, take care of each other. Remember, the world is a lot stranger than any of us would like to admit.
Well, thank you for that, sir.
Absolutely. I had fun with that list. It had been a while since I kind of had a fun murdering.
A fun one. Yeah.
But I thought this was kind of cool. And like I said, the story Mike gave me was so weird, but it just wasn't enough information for a full episode. And I thought, that's when the thought hit me. Hey, why don't I find a top 10 of weird
Yeah.
or strange murders?
Top 10 weird murders.
So I'll try to do more of these in the future. That was really cool, but thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for sticking with me through that. Uh, Takes us to the end of another recording week.
Whoop, whoop,
Uh,
whoop.
as always, you can find us at nerdymurdery.com. That's our hub, our website for everything about us. You'll find links, you'll find pictures, and you'll find a link to our YouTube page, which Zig so often updates.
Yes, please check that out. You can see some of the great Jodi Whitaker stuff. See how good she is at being the doctor.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You can also find the link to our merchandise page if you wish to show off your nerdery murdery fandom. Please do consider purchasing something from there. Good advertisement for us and helps us. But we also have the link to our Patreon if you wish to become a patron and donate to the costs that are associated with this show. It does cost to keep us on the air for our storage, our website, our uploads, and everything that goes along with this. We do appreciate each and every one of you.
Please and thank you.
And if you like what we do, please do drop a rating or review anywhere you can. Give us a 5-star rating or share us with that one friend who says, "Hey, tell me something messed up." You know the friend.
Tell me something messed up. Okay.
And last but most certainly not least, to our good friend Chuck. You can go to sleep now.
Good night, Chuck.
Good night, Chuck. With that,
I have been Zig with your nerdery.
and I'm Jeffrey with the Murdering.
Cue the music.